Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Greenfield with Truth in Hand, and I'm excited to pull into the new moon forecast and full moon forecast for that matter. Mike Lacey with Astro Daddy shares my love of astrology. In fact, talking to him about it helped me fall in love with it all over again about 12 years ago. So,
Oh, it's great to be here, Lisa. I am so thoroughly excited to kick off this new moon uh, every 2 weeks,
yeah.
us presenting. Um, yeah, it's a great time, especially because this new moon today kicks off a new moon in Cancer. And then for the next 2 weeks is going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to tell everyone about it.
Yes, because we do have that Mars-Uranus meetup that is kind of flavoring everything.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got the cards, so I'm going to do the day by day with the tarot and talk astrology with Mike, and we'll be there. So, do you want to tell them a couple of highlights about this new moon in Cancer?
Yeah, I mean, wow, it's today, firstly. It's the 5th of July at 3:57 Pacific time. So wherever you are, at 3:57 Pacific time, get ready to feel into this new moon in Cancer, which is a lovely energy, Lise. This is a nurturing energy. This is a warm, fuzzy, cozy, be with family, kind of think about memories and kick off things too.
And isn't it trine Saturn as well? So give some added oomph to that.
It does trine Saturn, which is a lovely energy to really ground us in this new energy. So if there's anything that you're looking to kick off, start, initiate, today's the day to start it.
And I'm going to tag on to that because with Mars Uranus, in this next 2 week forecast, it's lighting up that Jupiter Uranus. I hate that, there's just no good way to pronounce that doesn't sound a little bit uncomfortable, but be that as it may. So that Jupiter Uranus meetup in April, the cards are pointing to a separation. But what I love about it with this Cancer new moon is it's very much moving towards something you want rather than away from something you don't want. And that what you were saying, that Cancer, that warm fuzzy, that it's like, oh, how do you take care of what you want? Spend less energy and less effort on what you don't want. Fill it up instead with what draws you towards it.
Absolutely. And now is the time, only because next month, this time, when we talk about the next new moon, we'll be having Mercury in retrograde at that point, which will be even harder to kick off new things. So, folks, today is the day to kick off and start and grab the things that you want. It's the perfect energy, and I'll explain why.
All right. And I'm going to tell you that the card that sets for the new moon, believe it or not, is the Knight of Swords. So what we're dealing with the Knight of Swords, anytime we've got knights, they're movement. So it's like he's saying, kick it off. It's like, yep, the cards echo that there is movement required. And there's a caution. With the Knight of Swords, it's don't rush to judgment. Don't jump to conclusions. By all means, separate yourself. When you slow down a little bit, you separate yourself from thinking thoughts out of habit. It's not, so much mental muscle memory deciding for you. It's rather that you are being deliberate and choosing to move towards something, which ultimately will move you away from what you don't want because you're moving towards what you do. So there's that Knight of Swords.
Tomorrow, the 6th, we have the moon entering into Leo.
Because when the moon moves into Leo, it's obviously going to oppose Pluto. So this is the places where your sense of self was defined. For all of us, it started in childhood. But now this is moving away from the limits of that definition and into more of what you want to define you now. And the card for the 6th, is the Four of Swords, which is mental rest. But fours are always putting things on a firm foundation. So mentally, again, this is about being deliberate, taking time to decide who do you want to be in this moment. not so much like a cardboard cutout that you step into. It's like, well, I want to be this character in a movie. Well, if a character in a movie inspires you, it's because you've got some of those qualities of your own. How do you express that? Not based on the limits you inherited, Pluto, moon opposite Pluto, but based on what you decide and choose now. Again, moving towards something you want. Yeah.
That's great. What do you have for the 7th? Because there's really no aspects that are happening on the 7th.
Well, that's a really good day because it's the 3 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles is always actual conversation. Pentacles are the body. This is the one place we all meet, And so this is a place where have some conversations on Sunday with people that you know and trust about what draws you. Who are your heroes? Who are the characters that lit you up? What are the things that resonate with you in that direction, and anchor it more in your body? See your version of it. Okay. You've got to see it in order to believe it. So you've got to see that is those things that you love in other people are part of you. It's just now how you express it. So have some of those conversations on the 7th.
Right. So let's talk about Monday, the 8th, because we have some really great energy coming in on all next week. And it kicks off with Venus sextiling Uranus on Monday. A great energy, going for things that you feel are different or unique. Whatever you like, go for it, and have the courage to go for something that's a bit different than normally that would be out there.
You know what I love about that? That's the 4 of Pentacles. And remember, I said 4s are firm foundation, right? But they're also where we box ourselves in. Pentacles are where we boxed ourselves in. So Venus and Uranus together are popping the lock on where you've boxed yourself in, where you've should on yourself. Instead of letting yourself want what you want, there's 1,000 different ways to approach what you want. You may have been boxed out of unbridled self-expression tends to be a trauma response. So you want to be careful about doing that. But there could be any number of ways to express, a feeling that comes out that's uniquely you, that's not hazardous to you or other people. 4 of Pentacles says you've got an opportunity to put some of those words into action. And it's the second 4 in just 4 days. That's good relationships. When you show up as you, authentically you in a relationship, people can work with that. Even if you're having an off day or whatever, people can see that it's like, hey, they're showing up as, for the most part, as their best self. And it's like, you can tell somebody, you want to do over on that because that was not your best moment. That's where the good relationships help. And you yourself want to give yourself those do-overs because it's not about getting it right out of the gate. So, yeah.
And I have to add to that, Lisa, on Monday, not only do we have Venus sextiling Uranus, but we at the same time, on the same day, we have Mercury sextiling Jupiter. So Monday is a banner day.
Oh, this is, this is going to pick up on that 3 of Pentacles and now the 4 of Pentacles. Be having those conversations with your people. Really be willing to talk it through. That it's like, these are the qualities that I love and admire. Don't limit yourself to outcomes and actions. Actions back up the desires, okay? But let the desire get clearer and clearer. Mercury is how we see things, and how we say things. So take in information, talk it through, put it out there in a new way.
That's right. And with Jupiter there, you have the power to be noticed with your words and your discussions.
And feel your impact.
Now, the next day, the 9th, Mercury is going to enter a trine with the South Node and the North Node. So again, this is an opportunity for us to know what we want and to know what to go for, and to feel confident in those choices.
Good. Well, what I went for was like tipping the monitor a little bit because it feel like we're sitting with our chins on the bottom here. But what I love about what you just said is the card that goes with that is the King of Pentacles. And this is, the Pentacles are again where we manifest. The King is the highest level. It's the masculine. So it's how we show up. when we've got these things in place that you're touching on, this is the ability to manifest at the highest level. The reminder is this is slow. This is slow growth. You know, the body doesn't change as much overnight. It takes time, you know, to expand, to grow. And yet, you know, it's like everything to its own season. So really use this energy to be deliberate about who you are in each moment. And ultimately, that informs a much richer outcome for you. Okay.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it just keeps getting better because on the 10th, Wednesday, so we already talked about Monday and Tuesday, which are banner days with sextiles and trines. And now we have on Wednesday, we have on the 10th of July, the Sun trine Saturn. Wow, this is great. This is really great. You only get two of these a year, folks. So this means that there's stability in the things that we want. We're grounded in a sturdiness. We can feel confident in, as long as our foundation is strong, we can feel confident in moving forward.
Well, there's that Four of Pentacles, which we already touched on, so we're getting a ramp up to this. That Four of Pentacles, which is firm foundation, King of Pentacles, which is deliberate, you know, centered in yourself. And now today we've got the Knight of Wands or Prince of Wands. And this is about courage. Okay. So when you've got that sextile with Saturn, it's the courage to hold the transformational tension. You know something about where you're heading to with these new desires and leaving the past behind, the limits that you were, you know, indoctrinated into as a child. We all were, but this is time to go beyond, like a chick in a shell pecking its way out. But this Prince of Wands is very much about the courage to trust yourself, to be the adult in the room, to have the hard conversations on your behalf, that Mercury, you know, and to speak your truth and work through whatever comes out of it, being responsible for your part of it, but not, Saturn is the right responsibility, responsible for your part, not necessarily taking on other people's as well. Right. So it's really courage to hold that tension as all the pieces come together, okay, rather than rushing to, that's more of a trauma response too, to try and fix something in that moment, right? So it's like, no, do your part, speak your piece, know what you want, move towards it. But there's a, you know, again, that caution with that Knight of Swords that kicked off this cycle. Don't rush, okay? Move deliberately towards what you want. Keep grounding yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting better.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, that's why I'm saying, folks, this is a really great week, because the next day on the 11th, what we have is Venus trining Neptune. And at the same time, Venus slips into Leo. So, wow, what does that mean? Well, the things that we want from a creative, well, all the things that really Neptune represents, right? Creativity, imagination, fuzziness in thinking. We're attracted to that on that day. So if you're a creative and you want to start, so again, we're under the new moon. So this is a perfect time to start something on the creative element. Use your imagination. It's great energy on Thursday, the 11th.
What I also love about Venus opposite Pluto too, is it's, if you're willing to, look at where the desires of your childhood got limited, twisted, went underground, if you will. Bring those out into the light, you know, give them some Cancer nurturing love, you know, and that Neptune as well, that it's like, oh my goodness, it's so sweet, you know, that it's like, okay, it's the place where you can dream of different ways of expressing your desires than you were taught were possible in the past. It's time to be creative. You know, and put structure around it. Emotions take the shape of, you know, they're fluid. They take the shape of the container. You know, that doesn't mean they are this shape. It means they're, you know, formed by what you pour it into. What do you pour your desires into? What are the shapes that are possible for you? Because there's more shapes, a lot more shapes available than you knew before. And did I already tell the card?
No.
Oops, sorry, Seven of Wands. This is the place where you're on a higher ground than you think you are. You're battling the wrong things. With Seven of Wands, you're fighting where you've already won. So if you're fighting the ghosts of your past that said you shouldn't or you couldn't or it wouldn't be okay, you're in the wrong place. Step over into the place where you have the ability to express what you feel, what you want, and what you need, and find ways to do it in constructive connection with other people. And it's like, there are going to be people who resonate with it.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so then it's really that 7 is don't fight the wrong battles. You already are the authority on what you want. So,
Great passage.
mhm.
Which brings us to the 12th. So we have some challenges coming up on the 12th. And Lisa already inferred that we have Venus opposing Pluto. And that will perfect on the 12th. And at the same time, we have Venus's trine to Neptune still, which will also still be in effect. So we have some heavy, deep, yet heavy, deep energy with this Venus opposition to Pluto. But at the same time, it's tempered by that trine with Neptune. So it's a time for us to, if we want to go deep, for us to find out the hidden things that we're thinking of or we're looking to pursue. But that energy will be affected by that trine. So it won't be so heavy, but it's a time to, it's a seriousness time to look inward.
Which is what I love. The card for today is the King of Cups.
Oh, yeah.
The King of Cups is the feminine cups with the masculine king. 1 + 1 = 3. Man plus woman equals baby. So this is the minor arcana magician. So it says when we're willing to dive into our emotional depths, we can make magic happen. Okay. So as we move through these transits, yes, there are challenges. The challenges, are very often where we get stuck in a story. But those 2 4s, sometimes those are 2 4s are good relationships, but sometimes we have a good relationship with our trauma story. And it's just like, what happens when you replace your trauma story with a treasure map of what you want next? Okay, so yes, this is where you came from. We're not dismissing, demeaning. This is not a spiritual bypass, but this is all of that gave you what you want and need, believe it or not, to tackle the treasure map in front of you to get more of what you truly desire. Cups are desire. King is manifesting. So it's like you can manifest as if by magic. This is where, if you'll excuse the expression, you can take the shit from the past and fertilize the growth of the future.
For faith.
So yeah, make magic happen.
So that's a week. We're already, the 12th is next Friday. So we've already talked to you about a whole week's worth of astro energy coming in. And you need to take advantage of it because we have some really, really great energy coming in. But let's talk about what we're leading up to on the 13th. Jupiter is sextiling Mars.
What you've got going with that Mars, it's interesting because Mars is coming in, that transit is kicking in starting on the day that we've got the transformation card, which is slow change for the better. Now, Mars is the energy that we can use for or against us, okay? We're either acting in a way that serves our greater good or we're acting against our own interests. With Jupiter and Gemini, you can always see the dark and the light. You can see where to cut corners. You can also see how to justify bad behavior. But in the end, those are both self-limiting, okay? So it's like, ooh, that dark side is an inward spiral that eventually takes you down to nothing. And there are places and spaces where it's appropriate. Right now, you have to choose. There are some behaviors that need to be turned in on themselves and some behaviors that need to be opened up. And it's like, again, moving in the direction of what you want, not fighting battles that have already passed where you cannot change that outcome. You absolutely can change where you're heading. And you can change how you enjoy yourself or not in that process. But it comes down to impulse control. Although I'm not a big fan of the word control, command. Impulse command. Mars is very much about impulse command. So how are those actions really serving you in the story that is you're choosing now? All right. Who do you want to be in this moment? Not who have you been in the past, not, stuck there. Who are you in this moment? And does this action serve that? Be deliberate. Transformation is slow change for the better. There's no going back any more than you could put the leaves on the tree from last year, that fell off. So this is the transformation we're in this week with that Mars. And next.
14th,
Mhm.
which is next Sunday, the moon squares Pluto.
Yeah, those challenging aspects with the moon and Pluto do tend to, again, pop the lock on the stuff that's been pushed down underneath. And what's interesting is the card for today is Eight of Pentacles. This is the place where it's very important, particularly as we've got this trooping through Cancer. How well do you witness your own pain? Okay. So it's like, if we are not capable of being present for our own pain, if it scares us, if it freaks us out, destabilizes us, then we pile a lot of activity on top of it, or distractions on top of it, or self-destructive behavior on top of it. This is the place where you're the adult now. You have the opportunity to go back. The part of us that panics is often younger, much younger, in some cases pre-verbal. So it's a compassion for those places that need to be recognized as fearful and acting out of that fear. And anger, by the way, can come up, when you're hurt or afraid. Very often, anger comes up. And so Mars can be that worst expression, the rage, the acting out, and it can be directed inward or outward. But that Eight of Pentacles is that mastery card. It's very much learning how to master, command your responses. Doesn't matter which one you start with. What do you do with it next? So even if you start on acting out, imploding or exploding, give yourself some comfort there. Put your hands on your body and give yourself some soothing. Some people will even rock, sometimes it's nice to give yourself a little love. Whatever feels good. Treat yourself the way you would a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old, give yourself that moment before you move on to choose the next action. And when you do that, you start retraining the brain. You start realizing that you're making it safe to do things differently, that the world is a safer place because of how you are treating you in it. And then what you put out there comes back to you. The more you put that out there, the more you start experiencing it coming back to you.
That's right. Great words. Which brings us to the big day, the 15th of July. What's happening? Well, there's a couple things happening. We have and this is probably the biggest event of the month. This is the Mars conjunct Uranus in Taurus on the same degree. Now, they'll actually be within 3 degrees by the 10th of July. So we may start feeling this type of energy, but it perfects on the 15th of July. What does that mean? It could be a volatile time.
This can sometimes signify earthquakes.
I was going to say that too, because Taurus is an earth sign.
Yeah. I see the tectonic plates where the pressure builds, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's one of those. And that can be an internal expression for some people too. For some of us in earthquake territory, we're, locked and loaded. But be that as it may, there can be more of an emotional expression. Those places and spaces where you squeezed yourself into stories and understandings and expressions of yourself that are, one, not authentic, and two, not a match for where you are now. They're just, you're not going to be able to stay in them. It's like the universe is forcing the issue. It's like, nope, you're going to see one way or another. And the card for today is the Three of Swords, which, by the way, is one of the breakup cards. So it's like, you've got to break up with any part of you that doesn't understand how much authority and agency you have to construct your world now. Of course, there are always, you've got the limits of what's in front of you. You have to work with the material, but your ability to work with that material goes way beyond what you've known up until now. And that's why we've got this meetup. And this is why it's like, this is going to make it almost impossible for you to stay stuck. It's like, no, the universe, it's almost going to just It's going to move you forward if you don't willingly choose it. So it's like, yeah, the good news is that there's nothing that you give up that you don't get something better, but we can be very attached to the security of what we know.
On the 16th, the next day. Now, mind you, Uranus and Mars are still in conjunct at this
Yeah,
point.
they're still tight now.
They're still very tight.
Mhm.
And what happens on the next day is the moon opposes those two. The moon in Scorpio will oppose the Uranus Mars conjunction in Taurus, and that happens on the 16th. It's almost like the moon opens the door to that energy.
Yeah, it takes us right into the heart of what we're feeling. And by the way, that's the card for the lovers, which, we've had this Venus signature that's so sweet. We've got this Mars signature, which is so transformative, and now, and Cancer, which is very nourishing, nourishing. That's nourishing and nurturing together. It's nurturing. So this Venus card for the lovers here there's two meanings for this. One is you have to understand your power to choose. The lovers is always a choice. So it's like you have to, if there's a choice of one that isn't a choice, it's like that's really not a choice. So this is about you understanding that there are different ways to approach this. The one thing you can't do is not approach it. It's on your lap. All right. Then the choice also becomes, are you going to make it a loving choice, or are you going to make it a harsh or punishing choice? Be very mindful, with what's going on, where your judgment comes in. Discernment is good. Judgment needs to be one up. And whenever you're one up, that means you're triggered, you're destabilized, you're not standing on solid ground. So it's like, okay, nurturing means that I want this, I don't want that. That doesn't need to be bad in order for me to not want it. Okay, it's just not a match.
That's right.
So this is very much about evolving, needing that black and white trauma picture of right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no, and moving into that space of, oh, this feels like a fit, or no, not for me, and letting it be as simple as that.
One of the great things about when we're in Cancer season is to trust the gut.
Yeah.
To trust your internal guide. Let during the Cancer season, let you be motivated by what you're feeling inside. Cancer being a water sign, an emotional sign, a nurturing sign. We want to think more than we want to feel more than we think.
Yeah. Thinking labels separates, distances us so we can see the big picture and make sense out of it. But you want to make sure that there is feeling all through that story, rather than using that big picture to distance yourself from uncomfortable emotions. You want to find a way to integrate both. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So let's take it home. We got 4 more days.
Okay. 17th. The only thing that happens on the 17th of July is Mercury enters its shadow. Now, what I mean by that is Mercury will spend 2 more weeks in its shadow before it stations retrograde, which means I want you to note from the 17th of July, we're going to go all the way to the 4th of August, I believe, and then it's going to retrograde all the way back to the 17th to today, to the whatever degree is that Mercury is. So we're going to feel, so what you're going through now, we're going to be going over it, then we're going to be going back over it, and then we're going to be going back over it.
3 passes.
That's right. So make note of what's happening during that time.
Yeah, between now and the end of August. And what's so fun is it's perfect because that Mercury retrograde is in Leo. And what card comes up? The star card. This is about you are the star of your life. This is your story. Any place or space where you've let somebody else decide your story for you, this is the time to peel it back. And it's like they get to have their interpretation, just like an audience gets to sit and walk away from a movie, with different points of view. I walked out of The Matrix with somebody who thought it would bomb. And I'm just going, what? But it's like we all have our point of view. And this is about you're the star in your life. Are you living your life as the center stage? That doesn't mean that you don't have actors, other players on stage with you that are playing their full roles too. This does not mean a one up and a one down. It just means that you are fully inhabiting, even if you've got a minor part, you're the star of your part. All right. So this Mercury retrograde, now that we enter the shadow, this is really time to be deliberate about, are you seeing yourself accurately, or are you just accepting crumbs from somebody else's banquet table? Get out of that position. Find a better story. This Mercury retrograde is about, no, 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 no. You get to be the star of your story.
Well said.
18th
18th July, we have some actually really fun and good energy coming in, healing energy actually, because on the 18th, Mercury trines Chiron, the wounded healer. And at the same time is a grand fire trine with the moon. So the moon trines Chiron and Mercury to form, now the moon is in Sagittarius at this point. And we have this grand fire trine because Mercury is now in Leo and Chiron is in Aries. So this is a great healing time. This is a time for breakthroughs. This is a time for just healing in general.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in because I can't hold it any longer. The 10 of Wands, tens is an empowered one. It's literally taking things to the next level.
Okay.
This is what I love. How about I do the cards and then I sit down and we start coordinating the transits, and it's just like, it's uncanny the way it works. The 10 of Wands is very much about go for the next level. This is like going from the minor leagues to the major leagues. All right. You're still, give yourself some grace because you just graduated to a place where everybody's being asked to step up. All right. But it's very much about you knowing that you're capable of that next level. It's believing, and this is fire, it's believing. It's like, that's the place where when you believe that you are the star of your own story and you start taking the right risks for you, making sure that you're equipped. It's like life itself is risk. It's like, it's not about those things that don't turn out. I mean, Christopher Columbus didn't discover the shortcut to the East Indies, but he opened the modern world. That's the kind of mistakes fire makes. But we can do it, of course, without the genocide. I always add that. But it's like, this is the place where don't be hell-bent on judging what your next level is on the results. Instead, just get used to inhabiting it, refining how you discern where the right places to plug in are. Okay, and take it to that next level.
And if that wasn't enough, on the same day, we have the sun sextiling Uranus, which is a wonderful energy for, just as Lisa has said, making things happen, right? So we're still coming off the energy of the new moon, which is encouraging us to initiate things. So Mars is sextiling your Neptune on the 19th.
You know what I love about that is that today, that 9 of Pentacles, this is somebody who knows where their own best interests are. Okay. And so everything you're describing is like, is it in my best interest to believe that about myself or about this situation? We know that we walk through a percentage of the day with projections. Somebody reminds us of something, we project a story onto them, and we're acting out of that rather than what's actually there in the circumstance. This moon cycle is really helping us go beyond that, feel into it, and tell a different story. And today, with that trine, you've got that ability to really know where your own best interests are. But the body is slow. Okay. This is something where, back to that Knight of Swords that kicked it in, you can't rush to decide because the body has information for us that's very vital, very key. And so if you slow down, the body will give you a yes or a not yet or a no. So it's like, tune into that while you're making these changes and slow down. Okay. For that Mars Uranus meetup, some of it's breaking up where people are stuck, but other places it's really also breaking them free of their fear of slow growth. Okay. So,
which brings us to the 20th.
Okay, we're there.
So almost 2 weeks after the new moon. What we do is we have Mars trining Pluto on the 20th. And again, more good energy. Remember, sextiles and trines are great energy in astrology. So now we have Mars trining Pluto.
All right, contemplation here. This is the Hermit. And this is to close the cycle, the moon cycle. The Knight of Swords opened it, which was, leaving the past behind, but doing it deliberately rather than rushing to judgment. We're finishing with the Hermit, which is when you have that inner knowing, when you're tuned in and you light up from the inside out, that actually lights up other people as well. And it's like it becomes that rising tide that lifts all boats, to mix metaphors. But the Hermit is very much to know thyself is your power, not to know somebody else's definition of you. By all means, there's feedback there. Certain people had opinions about me. I didn't like the opinion. I dug into it. It's like what I didn't like about it, I could actually address the core and really express myself in a way that they went, wow, okay. I'm not going to get specific because people know me, some of the people close, but be that as it may, it's like there's some truth in what you don't like about what other people say, but you have to find the remedy for that in the truthful expression of you, not battling them, not pretending it isn't true, not taking on a story that doesn't fit, but finding an action that lines up with who you are and serves that out in the world. There's going to be some that are never going to be a match for you, but by and large, this is going to connect you. It's almost like you individuate in order to really belong. You can only belong when you truly know and contribute yourself from that place. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. That was great. And guess what the 21st is?
The full moon.
The full moon in Capricorn.
But we're not going to talk
We're not
yet.
going to talk about that
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
But
tease it.
Right now, work towards that full moon, right? Because full moons are closures. So we have this wonderful energy for this new moon, this great trine energy for all next week. Take advantage of it.
Yeah. Really, again, this is the place where it's like the first week, it's mother yourself wherever you start. Really be, meet your emotions, pull them out into the light of day, up from the, subterranean, or the wish list. It's like really look at those emotions, sit with where they are, be able to witness your own pain and your own story. Because then the second week you move into acting on it in a way that is much more authoritative. You're not at the mercy of anybody else's limitations on you. This is about you deciding who you are in any moment. And that sets you up for that Capricorn full moon, which we'll revisit in a couple weeks.
Yeah, can't wait.
Thanks. I'm Lisa Greenfield with Truth in Hand.
And I'm Astro Daddy.
Mike Lacey with Astro Daddy.
Yes.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.